Today's top stories at NBR. Kiwi Property secures resource consent for a build-to-rent development at Sylvia Park. Legislation mandating border workers get vaccinated to encompass additional employees. Inspiring stories and more coming right up. Kia ora and welcome to NBR Today, a wrap of the day's top business stories from the authority in New Zealand business news since 1970, nbr.co.nz. It's Monday, July 12th. I'm Paul Brennan. Thank you for joining us. More than $27 million has been paid to the former banker of beleaguered campervan rental and tourism operator Juicy Group, but it's still unlikely to be fully repaid. Juicy, formerly owned by the NBR rich list Alp family, went into receivership last year after COVID-19 had an unprecedented and devastating impact on the business. The group's first receivers report in January this year showed there would likely be a shortfall on the $44 million ASB Bank was owed as secured creditor, with millions of dollars in unsecured creditor claims also unlikely to be paid. On Friday, the receiver's second report for the company said the bank was still owed a further $11.6 million, which the receivers said was unlikely to be repaid in full. As such, close to $3 million owed to unsecured creditors would also be left unpaid. Kiwi Property has secured resource consent for a build-to-rent development at Sylvia Park. Shareholders were told at its annual meeting this morning. The NZX-listed company has been progressing the build-to-rent strategy for some time, with the Sylvia Park development likely to have around 300 units. Seen as a solution to the housing shortage, build-to-rent provides affordable long-term rental accommodation for those who don't want to or can't afford to own their own home. According to the Property Council of New Zealand, BTR properties are typically owned by institutional investors and managed by specialist operators for long-term renters. The company also has applied for resource consent at its Lynmore asset in West Auckland. Active port workers remain some of the least vaccinated at the border. However, the government is amending the vaccination mandate to ensure this changes. COVID-19 Response Minister Chris Hipkins today announced that Cabinet has decided to amend legislation mandating those working at the border get vaccinated to encompass an additional 1,800 employees. Among those specified are some working at ports that interact closely with the maritime border. To date, the workforce at the port is seen as a weak point in border vaccinations, with only 54% of active port workers completely vaccinated. Farence Venture Capital, which has offices in Auckland and the Waikato, has appointed Asher Ross as a new general partner. Farence was founded in New Zealand last year by British-born Rob Vickery, a co-founder of Los Angeles-based Stage Venture Partners. His aim was to raise a $35 to $40 million venture capital fund. Vickery said Ross of Ngā Ruahine, Ngāti Ruanui, Te Atiawa, Taranaki and Te Whakatohea descent, was one of the few Māori working in the venture space. He was most recently a director of the Innovation and Development Group at tertiary education organisation Te Wānanga o Aotearoa, and also set up marketing company 23 Ika in 2011 to help iwi with branding. A decade ago, Guy Ryan, now 35, founded the charity Inspiring Stories to nurture a new breed of leader, and at the end of July, the charity will run its 10th Festival for the Future, billed as New Zealand's biggest social innovation and leadership summit. He's been made Young New Zealander of the Year in 2015 and the Edmund Hillary Fellow in recognition of building what he calls an intergenerational movement for impact. Guy Ryan joined the NBR's Nicola Shepherd.
There's a whole bunch of kind of emerging business leaders that are looking at, beyond just profit, how do these businesses actually address some of the social and environmental challenges that we face as well. So I think we're already seeing a whole bunch of great examples of leadership in that business space. I think the challenge is how do we accelerate it, and how do we bring both business sector but also government, all the layers of bureaucracy, the political leadership and the community leadership together to work smarter together to address the challenges that we face.
Inspiring Stories CEO Guy Ryan with the NBR's Nicola Shepherd there. The full details of those stories and more are at nbr.co.nz right now. Tomorrow at NBR, Margin Call looks at what a global and local economic expansion means for investors, and we focus on the ugly and unpredictable directors' insurance market. I'm Paul Brennan. I look forward to being with you again tomorrow around lunchtime for the morning's NBR trending stories. Then same time, same place, right here from 5:30 tomorrow for another NBR Today.